Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. I'm not going to say the name of the episode anymore.
Why? The number?
Oh, not the number. I'm not going to say the number. Because I'm here with Papa Joe. Say hi, Papa Joe, please.
Hey, how you doing?
Bring that mic close to you like you love it, like it's a friend.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to, other than...
No, you don't have to go there.
No, we don't have to go there with that. What was I going to call the episode? Three software engineers walk into a bar, because he did last night, but we're going to say that for a little later. I'm going to rehash something. We did a little small audience sample, some marketing surveys on our unreleased episode that will be coming in probably next week sometime. Gay guy, straight guy reviews, and that's where I was, I guess, ham-handedly a subject that I thought, that'd be great. We'll just talk about who I think is attractive and ask you whether it's attractive and show different tastes, that the tastes vary just as the same. Like there's no, I don't care what they say, like in Time Magazine, this the hottest person in the world, whether man or woman, it's not what you find hot. So, but we started doing it. But some of the sampling of the people that listen to the show, the main thing was Jim sounds too gay and Joe is too straight. And that's the one thing. And like I said, we're both 56 years old. We do what we do. Our lives are what they lives. What does it matter? I mean, it's funny when you're in your 20s. I guess when you're in your 20s.
It matters.
It really matters when someone says something to me. If someone says that to now, hey, that's...
Well, let's put it this way.
You may appear like you are a gay man, Jim, and I go, I don't really give a shit what you think I appear as.
It mattered to us when we were in our 20s.
Yeah, it did.
Now, perhaps not so much. Maybe not so much in today's environment.
Well, I guess in different countries that would be.
No, if someone did.
Imagine if you were
imagine if you were and said, that sounds awfully. Are you gay?
If you were
it wouldn't be as insulting today. I would hope not.
No, it's not. It would just say
those were fighting words.
I mean, I think it's similar to asking whether they're a believer, like and follower of God and all that. Meaning, this is what I choose to do with my life and things like that. And not that it's necessarily a choice, because I believe that you're born one way or the other, or you decide, or maybe there's a thing, the way the brain works. I mean, why do we have to nail it down? And that's no pun intended. Why do you have to nail it down that the reason why someone is, it could be through birth, because I'll tell you, in the 70s and 60s and the 50s, and in different, let's pick the hardest place in the world. Let's say right now, Muslim countries and Russia, there's places that deny the validity of the homosexual lifestyle and say it's not a valid way of life, it's not a real way of life, it's an aberration. The people still choose to live their life that way. Why would people choose to be ridiculed? A large segment of society be chosen to live a lifestyle that you're going to be ridiculed and abused for in a country that denies it, and in the countries that accept it, it doesn't get bigger. It doesn't grow larger. It is what it is. There's a natural segment on it. Just if I don't know if that would work with the left-handed thing, but everything's made for right-handers. It doesn't stop people from being left-handed. Is that it? I think that's a good metaphor for it.
Well, I always thought of it. My problem is sometimes I read too much, and for those who don't read, shame on you.
Yes.
Human sexuality is a curve.
Yes.
There's no definitive you are this, that, or it's sexual expression is a curve. So, between...
Oh, wait, isn't it when you... a curve would be... I think you mean more of a gradient.
No, I mean a curve.
A curve meaning... Okay, so you want an inverse curve where it starts up and goes this way, or it goes along an XY axis from the inside to the outside?
Well, let's put it this way. So if you start with heterosexual...
Yep.
And you have homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
in between that, there is, there's sexual behavior and sexual identity.
Yes.
And, you have bisexual. But then out of the bisexual, you have bisexuals who may lean more towards heterosexual most of the time than not. And on the other side of that, you may have bisexuals that lean towards homosexual relationships than not. You have a varied array of people's sexual
panorama, let's say, or a Venn diagram, maybe.
Yeah, you can look at it that way.
A Venn diagram where I hate to call this thing outliers and stuff like that, but I think it's probably an even distribution across. There isn't a peak one.
No, those numbers.
There's a peak one. I mean, I bet it consistent along the lines. But I guess the people, I think sometimes when you hear about it, it's like the people that get most disgusted by something they view as aberrant behavior, and then there's a difficult part is talking about people that are. Why would you equate? They go wrong with the lunch. Why would you equate that as someone's taste? Because then they throw in the real aberrations, pedophilia and bestiality and things like that. The true aberrations. Because in the natural world, they'll say, listen, homosexuality occurs in penguins, in monkeys, in different, it's not, it's across the board. Obviously, the larger numbers, if you're passing on genetic traits, would pass on naturally through the most reproductive quality. If it had gone, I guess, if it had gone single sex, because there are organisms that are just single sex and they can reproduce.
Well, we're not created or made, or we have not evolved to be hermaphroditic. So we can't.
No, but there are organisms. There are organisms,
Clearly.
Cells and all that stuff.
And our evolution, takes two to tango.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
And that's provided. That may have provided the preeminent. The reason why most people may be the one way. But I don't really understand. What I don't understand about the people that kick back from it. Why would it bother you? If you're, let's say, the people that are the worst offenders, the straight guys that are the haters, why would you care? Why would you care at all?
And yet,
I mean, why would you care at all? Why would you care? In China right now, and I would just listen on this, they had a one-child policy from 1980 till 2015. So that's 35 years. And they have 34 million more men than women. In some villages, the men outnumber the women 2-1. Okay. Now, and whenever there's a competition, especially think of a small town America. You go to a school and there's 80 people in your graduating class. Right?
Okay.
And high school. And that's your choice in that town. Let's say you don't have access to the internet or anything like that. Let's say it's about 40, 50 years ago. That's your choice. If 20 of those guys are gay, that raises your chance. And the same thing, the chances of women are the same percentage. But why would you care? Why would you care if someone takes themselves out of the competition? Why do you care if someone takes himself out of the competition for what you want? And why would you vilify it, right? Why would you vilify it unless you were so ingrained with the hate from someone else for some reason, it's just repetitive, that you'd have to attack it to deny your own feelings.
There's an or.
Yeah.
Or you've realized that society's ability to label, shame, and ridicule, causing you and giving you license to hate, is a great cover. And the louder you yell obscenities at any community, particularly this one because we're dealing with sexual preference.
Mm-hmm.
You can go under the radar and never once have to deal with your own feelings towards the same sex, and your own dalliances towards the same sex.
Your self hating experiences, the things that you feel shame about that you necessarily shouldn't feel shame about.
What a great system society has set up, and this, unfortunately. Those rules, mores, and taboos are etched in the theisms of this world, mm-hmm. and they continue to be perpetuated. So those countries you talked about, you can add Central and North Africa to that. Most troubling is Tanzania and Nigeria, who really had no comment on this issue.
Yeah,
and tribally they were indifferent. Some tribes had a history of actually honoring gay men and women in their tribe. They consider them a little special until the American evangelicals got hold of them. And this is a recent event. So what happens is...
I don't understand just the rationale behind it. If you're forcing someone... Like I just saw this movie, and it was recently released about the straight conversion therapy, Christian camps,
right,
where they do that, and you go, well, what the hell? Why are you forcing? I mean, is it the act itself that bothers you? Is it? I mean, what does it matter? Because obviously, even a girl performing in the conservative consumer, even a girl performing oral sex between a man and a woman in some of these communities is considered a sin. Premarital sex is considered a sin, and all this stuff. But I mean, to really control, do they have to really? Is it about controlling procreation and controlling every aspect of life? I mean, that's the reason why I thought the gay guy, straight guy routine. I said, what the hell? What does it really matter? If I can say, why can't you legitimately just look at someone and say, hey, find them attractive? And there's plenty of women, just because someone's a woman, and I've had them come in before I was with Abby. I mean, just because you're not attracted to a certain woman.
But
just because you put it out on the corner doesn't mean that someone's going to pick it up. It's just going to pick it up, and you're not attracted, so they go and use that part, and you go, well, that's not. I don't have a problem with you accusing me of that, but what you do is you're insecure.
Yeah.
You're insecure, and it stratifies all the way down when you talk about religion and the culture and the thing. What does it really matter what a person does in their publicly or privately? When you go, I don't care what someone... Well, what if they're walking down the street hand in hand? What if they kiss? What does that do? What does that subtract from your life? Does it make you feel bad that you're not loving to your wife or your husband?
Well, I've heard everything from, well, how am I going to explain this to my kids? Well, because you're a parent and you get to explain it to your kids.
The problem is you're probably beating the shit out of your kid or abusing the hell out of your kids.
Even if you're not. I mean, it's the lazy attitude is, I'm just going to avoid it. No, the proper attitude is, why don't you prepare your child? Because that child may one day come to you and say, oh, hey, I like someone of the same sex. Even if they don't, why not prepare them to understand that there are people in the world that are not like you?
Why would that be the most horrible thing that would happen in your life?
The tribalism of always needing a boogeyman, and then we can go back to the religious question, and then how that poison goes out into
those people.
Communities.
Those people. But if you can look at you can look at your next door neighbor to your left and your right, and they could have a similar magnitude. You could have a 2-2 family, two parents, mother and father, and 2 kids. And they could be on either side. And each family is going to be so different in their outlook, in their belief system, and things like that. So what does it matter if across the street there's 2 men or 2 women raising a kid? The differences between the way people raise their kids are probably, I'd have to say, primarily person to person, not couple to couple, meaning a straight couple, gay couple, and stuff like that. There's plenty of that. So I think we probably built this, and we're going to speak about this. And I'm always a firm believer in saying, like, hey, it's not only they're trying to restrict the. Matter of fact, there was a ruling passed on that made it easier for people to get fired for being gay. Now they're not protected.
Now the U.S. It's one of the Supreme Court. It's one of the questions the Supreme Court currently has right now in their since this administration has allowed this to bubble up, and it needs Supreme Court oversight. The regulations that the current administration wants to enforce is that any subcontractors with the federal government do not need to protect employment for the LGBTQ community. So in this state, as a right-to-work state, Florida has never had protections for anyone in the LGBTQ community. You could be fired at will just for being gay. And that's right now today. So a lot of people get threatened when the blowback is, no, we're going to fight this on the federal level. This case has ramifications for every state. To make every state then say, oh, well, I hopefully if it comes out this way, we can't simply fire you because who you choose to love. And a lot of people have a big problem with that. Now, go figure. You're doing the job. You've done the job probably for years. You're a good employee, but you come out and say, oh, by the way, I'm gay. You got to get fired. Because the owner or the CEO or your administrator in state government has a particular Christian belief or religious belief, doesn't have to be Christian, and you can't work for this company, or you can't work for the state or local government. This has been an ongoing problem. It needs to be resolved and put away. People that go to work, and they do a good job. And if you can't find a merit-based reason to fire someone, then I guess they're doing a good job. Leave them alone. Who cares who they go home to? Because the odds are they're happier than you. They're better able to adapt because they've been doing it longer than you. Just leave them alone. And if as a result there's a hidden envy, and this is a means of payback of some sort, I hope they lose.
The hidden envy? What's the hidden envy?
I admire you so much, but I can't bring myself to say it, so I'm going to hate you instead.
Okay. I think that's a barrier to personal growth. Myself.
Hey, thank you for the Coca-Cola from Mexico.
Yes, the Mexican Coca-Cola. Real Coke. Okay. Hey, listen, I could do a whole show and stuff like that on this, but you know what? And hey, listen, this is purely comedy and stuff like that, but comedy doesn't preclude talking about issues. We're lighthearted about it. So that's the reason why we did the gay guy, straight guy thing, and then I did my little thing, whatever. So this week, we're going to be taking a break in a couple minutes. Since it's going so well, I think we'll probably go another 6-7 minutes before we take our break. Maybe do 50 minutes today or an hour.
Twist my arm.
Yes. Okay, great. Holly, my coworker, you met her before.
Course. Wonderful Holly.
She went to... She's going to. She went to Delaware and she's going to California. During when I went to Poland, Holly worked her ass off covering for me, and it's people. To change the subject, your coworkers. I mean, especially in smaller companies. In a bigger company, they can find temps and things like that to kind of do what you need to do. But in a small company, you just have like 3-4 people to draw on. When, the person kicks in a shift or 2 a week, and then the other one kicks in like 4. I mean, they had 7 shifts to cover for me a week. So I really do appreciate it. So I'm doing that. And we missed doing our regular schedule, so we're doing a day one. But it doesn't stop me from drinking in the daytime. If I did all my shopping, I'm not going to be driving. We're going to talk about that. But I've been working doubles. And I actually didn't get stressed out or anything like that. The only time that happened was yesterday and was slow. And then all of a sudden, about 10 people started coming. A group of 5, a group of 2, and group of another 2, and another 2. So maybe that makes 11. But at the same time, and then when that happens, and they want to eat at the same time and drink at the same time, and they sit at the bar, and the keg kicks.
Oh.
Same time, the keg kicks. So I'm backed up there.
Now, are you bringing your kegs up?
I'm carrying the kegs. I have to go out back, grab the kegs and stuff. And this is a Catch restaurant. I mentioned that. I'm the Catch restaurant in Key Largo, and I want to mention something about someone coming in who about a listener. So I had all this up.
You have to lug this.
I got to go in the back to the walk-in, grab the keg, pull out the old keg, put it in something. Not a chore, but it happened when all this stuff's happening. And the health inspector walks in at the same time.
What shit timing?
I know, isn't it? It was amazing. And it was like almost as if they waited, because any time before then they could have done it and it would have been like no problem, and we're thinking about this. And okay, I guess, sometimes I'm a cool customer under pressure.
Set in?
Holy shit. Yeah, it did. It really did. A lot of times in extreme situations, a health inspector is not a dangerous situation. So my corporate callosum, or what do you call it, the medulla oblongata, did not kick in with the protection, the flight or fight instinct.
Yeah.
Didn't kick in. So it's right in there in the middle. The higher brain thing goes up and it kicks it into the higher brain and it starts whirling around the thing. And I think, this is my main job, my employer. I love my employers. I love the place I work. They give me a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of things I could do, probably make double the amount, right? But very few places give me the flexibility to do whatever I want.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that.
You can't put a price on that. It give you a lot of flexibility and stuff like that. So, I mean, and a matter of fact, I wouldn't be able to do a show if I wasn't a bartender.
Hey, so when this guy comes in, this inspector,
and he was not.
Was he like? Did he come? Do they come
he
in
wasn't
with a clipboard?
Yeah. Well, he has a big pad, meaning an e-pad.
Okay.
Attached to his belt, and he comes in, and he's not dickish.
He's just walking around
or cuntish. But he does his things, kind of somewhat, it could be passive-aggressive, but it amps it up. It's worse for me. If someone got in my face and started doing it, I'd be, oh, fuck, just like the military. He's perfect. He used to get yelled. Fuck that. That's great. But this guy's doing it calmly, and I said, oh, my God, he's matter of fact in this. And it's going boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And have all these things going on. I'm trying to take care of all these people at the same time because I can't ignore them and think about the things I have to do. Because when it comes to health inspection, you always follow the main thing. I wash my hands and do those things, but you're just thinking, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to screw this up. So I'm doing that, and then somebody, and this is where I kind of failed a regular customer of mine, but I think they were out of touch this day because I explained to them. I said, listen, the health inspector's here, and I get really anxious when it's happened, and I get distracted. And I may not be at my best for the next half hour to 40 minutes, but I'm going to try. And they started laughing. And they said, no, it really bothers me. It bothers me. I get anxious, and it's my one thing. I don't get I can chill when it's chill. And when an emergency situation, I know you don't believe. I'm great in emergency. I'm great in a disaster. Throw me in a hurricane or a fire, or if you hear some gunshots, I'm really great because it kicks in and like all that other stuff just falls by the wayside. It just happens. I'm not a superhero, I'm just saying I can do it. I can deal with it. I'm not.
But you got the government just walked into your building and they're going to inspect you.
Yeah, and I'm going like this, and it's just I'm very.
Yeah, no one likes that.
Very anxious, and I'm trying to ask them to please be considerate about it and stuff like that. And they start laughing again, and they go, "I just find it." And he said something that's funny, and I said, "I'm glad my suffering makes your day. I hope someday I can return this favor." And that just threw him over the edge. Now, I don't think I said something really wrong because I surmised the situation because you were being amused after I explained to you, right? I explained to this person, you were amused, and I explained to you this makes me really anxious and it bothers me. And I explained to you before that mild stuff, I'm shit in the middle of it. Oh my God, just come in and yell and do something like that. I do get amped up and angry and stuff like that, but the adrenaline kicks in, I can handle that stuff. But the middling range stuff, I'm really bad with sometimes. That's because you can't stop and meditate in the middle.
All right, so you had a customer or two or however many.
No, just two. It's a husband and wife. And the husband and wife, they said that. And I go like this. And I said, listen, I'm glad our suffering makes you. Then my exact words, I'm glad our suffering makes you happy. I hope I can return the favor.
And what was their reaction?
They threw money down and walked out.
Well, you know what? If you're going to give it, you got to take it.
Yeah.
And so shame on them.
I don't think I should have said it.
Well,
I don't think I should have.
You're a bartender. Of course you should have said it. You're a bartender. Yeah. Look, you go into a bar that deals with locals, a restaurant bar that deals with locals mostly.
Yep.
And you're as much a fixture there, Jim, as anyone. Mm-hmm. And they come in and they start with the back and forth with the bartender, the tongue in cheek, right?
Yep.
You've been to bars. I've been to bars. I'll mention one in New York, the Irish Pub in Hell's Kitchen, the oldest bar in New York, oldest working bar in New York. Say something smart to the bartender, you're going to get it right back.
Yep.
And the expectation is, all right, is that all you got? They're waiting. It's tongue in cheek.
Yep.
It's expected. So if you're going to sit there and a bartender says, hey, look, this really bothers me, and you say something smart, and the bartender says, well, I hope I can repay you one day. And you go, this is what's wrong with everything.
I wish I could return the favor.
What's wrong with everything? How dare you? And so I'm offended. Well, you being offended doesn't mean you're right.
Yep.
It just means you're offended, you're childish, and now,
it made me question my response. You know what?
I don't think you needed to request.
Okay.
I think it was fine.
You know what? I appreciate you siding with me on that, but I still... I mean, we are our own worst critics. There's Keith. Oh, it's perfect. We're going to take the first break, and we're going to come back, and then Keith is going to be here. Okay?
Okay.
Yep.
If you want to get your information about the Florida Keys straight from the locals who live here and the ones who love it here, we've got you covered. Visit 43keys.com as your source for everything Florida Keys. Sign up for our newsletter and you'll always be up to date on all the Keysy stuff that's going on down here. Go to 43keys.com. That's the number 4, the number 3, keys.com, and sign up today.
Mike is hot. We're back. I'm here with Keith. Say hi, Keith.
Hey, guys.
Yep. Keith the mechanic. And I'm here with Papa Joe again, right? Papa Joe's been here the whole time. Last night, remember a week ago, I remember did I mention something about they equated at the bottom of the show on one of the listening apps, they said if you like this show, maybe you like Joe Rogan, and maybe you like Tony Roberts. Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. Yeah. The motivational speaker. And it's just like in the middle where I want to be. I want to be motivational. I want to be funny. And I'm not going to go kick someone when we're down. I'm not that way when there's some brutality. I'm not brutal. It's not my style. I guess part of being it. It's never been my style. But I was always concerned. I said, hey, where are we going to reach? Where are we reaching to people? What kind of people are we reaching? Well, last night, 2 women came in a bar. It's Christina and Lisa. And 2 lovely ladies. And we're talking. And I don't know exactly what Lisa does. I think she's a business owner. But Christina is a city planner for a local village down here. I don't want to say the name, but she said it was all right to mention her. So she didn't say anything about her. I mean, she seems to like her job. She's down here and stuff like that. And we started talking, and Lisa started mentioning to some people came in, and they're talking back and forth, and we're having a lively conversation, which we try to encourage at the bar. I want people to get along with each other, right? Yeah, Keith is a regular there. I say, listen, this is I don't have to go and tell the rules of people. I say, be nice to each other, be fun, joke with each other, don't be too harsh. Don't do anything personal. So we're in there, and Lisa mentioned something about someone, you got to listen to this podcast, blah, 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 listen to this podcast. And I go, oh, well, that's funny. I do a podcast. And the girl, Christina, came down and April of this past year to take this job in the Keys. And she says, let me tell you something. And I'm probably going to tell the story wrong, but she says, when I first knew I was coming down here, I started searching for podcasts in the Florida Keys. And you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I found your podcast, and I've been a listener. And she remembers Jenna and all that stuff. It's funny this week because I mentioned previously, I'm working all these doubles, so I wasn't able to do the regular recordings on Tuesday. So, and she starts talking to me, and she goes, yes, I really like your show. And I said, when did you start listening? Up in Ohio.
Wow.
And I always assume when someone listens from someplace that they knew me or they knew someone else, or they're listening on their phone and they have a phone number that's still listed in Toledo or something like that. I didn't realize that people were doing searches and it's coming up. And that was my first validation that someone actually outside of social media and friends and stuff started listening on their own accord. And she didn't say anything. And she said, well, one thing she said, what is the best application or place for me to listen to you so you make the most money? And I said, the best thing you could do is to become a subscriber and recommend me to your friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and absolutely. The more listeners we have, the more I envision that we can incorporate, and this is for anything, breweries and liquor right into that, because we are drinking during the show, and it's called Keys Bartender. It makes sense. It's not called Keys Sobriety, which should only be like 3 people here. That would be the total thing. If I did Keys Sobriety, I mean, there are the sober community is very strong here in the Keys, but considering you only get like 2-3% penetration and stuff like that, I don't think a sober bar. I guess that would be, if I do go back, it'd be a sober bartender, a sober Keys bartender.
2 or 3% penetration is not good for anything.
Oh, you're right. It's just a tip. It is just a tip.
That's right.
Just a tip. And then I asked Christina, why did you look for the show? Well, I was trying to get a feel for the Keys and stuff like that. And you were looking for information on the Keys. And I go, I'm thinking, well, now after that, it was kind of busy last night. We had a great night for Wednesday. I don't know why. It's not a normal night I work there, but we had a lot of people come in. I'm thinking, what did you learn? And I thought back on the old shows, some of the things we did. And you could say, if you remember any episodes, you could chime in if you want. And I'm just not challenging you or anything like that. You realized some people have their dentures held hostage for money down here, if you listen to our show. Oh, yeah, there's a story about a woman that had her dentures stolen by her boyfriend and held hostage for $500.
Oh, that's awesome.
That came into a bar. That really happened. And now Christina knows this really happens. This stuff really happens. I'm not making this shit up. I make stuff up, but I tell people it was made up. But this one, a lot of grown men live with their parents. She learned that on her own.
Well,
a lot of grown men.
That down here is the right thing, and they always do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
plenty of people are in their 20s, 30s living with their parents.
Yeah. Some women...
Yeah, well, it's expensive as hell down here.
Yeah. Some women do a lot of personal hygiene in their vehicles. And I'm hearkening back to the woman in Key West that was shaving her vajayjay on the way today.
That was my trooper that stopped that?
Oh, it was a trooper. And she was... Oh, okay, wait,
That was my trooper.
Your Honor, can we have a sidebar?
Absolutely.
We're going to do the sidebar right here on that, and we're going to come. I'm going to footnote this, not footnote, bookmark it. We'll get back. Let's hear about it.
Well, first of all, if you want to read a great book that takes the traffic stop that really happened and turns it into this wonderful story, then Razor Girl by Carl Hyacin.
Okay.
He literally took the headline and created a story, and he did a fantastic job, and I highly recommend it.
Carl Hyacin was a newspaperman down here that became an author, or he's still a newspaperman and an author.
He may still be associated with the Miami Herald, but he was a journalist and started writing. Probably,
I read a couple of his books,
late to mid,
and he uses real stories about people, dumping bodies in the Everglades. Okay.
So what happens is trooper stops a car for speeding.
In Key West.
And toward the lower.
Well, I mean, the real thing, yeah.
Lower Keys, not quite Key West, but not far from it. And there's a woman that has her skirt hiked up to her waist, and she's going to town on her. We can call it a beaver. With
a pubic
razor.
area.
She's shaving her pubes.
Yeah.
And so the trooper who walks up to the car asking for a license, registration, insurance, she never stopped. She's just still shaving.
Yeah.
And his eyes get big, and he doesn't know what to say. And if you know this, I'm not going to say his name, but if you know this trooper, these types of incidences kind of cross his bow often. So
wait, did he tell you what she looked like? Did she didn't get arrested, did she? She got a ticket.
She got a ticket for speeding.
But was she was it traumatic what he saw?
No.
No, was it pleasant?
It was quite pleasant.
Oh, really? She was an attractive woman.
Attractive woman.
Oh, wow.
Maybe her face had a little, miles on it, but overall, an attractive
was a good shape.
lady.
Yeah.
Sure. And so,
wow.
He asks, of course, what are you? She goes, well, I'm shaving. What else do you think I'm doing? I have a date.
I bet there can't be a law that you can.
Well, he writes her the ticket
for speeding.
For speeding, she's
not the driver.
What's that?
She's the driver?
She is the driver. She is driving and shaving.
Oh, I thought she was a passenger.
No.
I thought she was a passenger.
That's what makes this so.
Oh, that's distracted driving.
Clearly, it's it's what they call the high level of careless. There's two forms of careless. This would be that careless. But so he writes her, sends her on her way. She didn't think getting a ticket was right, by the way. It was unfair. But anyway. And then I get a phone call.
Unfair, unshaven.
Sarge,
what?
You're not going to believe what just happened. And considering who it's from, my response was, well, yes, I will believe what happened because it's you who's calling me. And then he tells me, and of course we end up with a big laugh. And the next time I managed to get down to the Keys within a few days, down in the southern part of the Keys in a few days, I met him for lunch. He told me the whole story. He was actually kind of, I won't say in shock, but he was shocked that she just didn't budge. She just kept shaving. And in telling the story, the deputies heard the story, and then eventually the local Keys newspaper.
Yep. And it went to national news.
It picked it up, and it immediately it went to the Herald, and then of course the Herald is part of the McClatchy News, and then it went national. And so it was like the story that just wouldn't go away. And then Carl Hyacin writes this book, which I had to, 2 years ago, I had to read. It was just an entire story. And being a writer myself, he creates this story.
Wait, I didn't know that. We're gonna have to talk to that further. He creates a story from the headline.
Yeah, and he did wonderfully, by the way. So
we're gonna have to put a bookmark in there and remember that. I just learned that about you.
What?
That you're a writer too.
Yeah, well, I have one book in the works with the publisher, so hopefully soon it comes out.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, that'd be great.
Well, you're talking about that, too, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Hey, I'll work with Joe. Joe's my in right there. Well, we'll push your book as much as we can right here on there, as much as we can, and we'll push it as much as you want, I guess. Okay, so we got that is amazing. Okay, we're going to have to continue that. We'll talk about the thing. So I'll finish this stuff about what this girl learned. Christina.
Yes.
And a lot of people have no choice but to use a bike down here. She'll learn that. You'll eventually get busted if you drive drunk. I think that's pretty much it. And some older women like to curse a whole fucking lot down here. I had it during martini night. I have some regulars come in and says, we're old whores and we like having martinis.
That's awesome.
I was just like, it sounded like a Saturday Live. It sounded like an old, it sounded like a even more outrageous Saturday Live skit. Yep. We're old whores. And I told him, I said, if you want a dirty martini, do it, if you say, hey, get me a dirty martini, bitch, and that means lightly dirty. and get me a dirty martini, asshole. That's medium dirty. And get me a dirty martini, motherfucker, cocksucker. And then I know it's like Baywater. So I know that. And I guess that cursing thing by older women may not be unique only to here, but those other things are kind of unique to here. But that's just kind of fucking crazy. Besides those three people, those two women that came in, we had 3 software engineers come in. Very, very nice guys. They're biking down. 2 of them are biking down to Key West, and he stopped.
Bicycling or motorbiking?
Bicycling.
Oh, good for them.
Bicycling. 2 of them are bicycling. The other's driving the support vehicle. And I said, hey, well, how you doing? Are you driving ahead and then stopping, or you're lagging behind? Like, that's what I would do, and I would stop and wait and then drive up to them instead of driving back, save more gas, right?
Yeah, if something happens to them when you're ahead, how are you going to know something
well, you got to drive back. Well, you got to drive back, and, and if you're on the 7-mile bridge, you definitely can't do that. You got to come up behind them,
but you could
just like you would.
He could stop at the bar, have a drink, and then catch up to him.
Oh, yeah, that's good. After I just said that drinking thing.
Yeah.
Just have that drinking thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, Keith. Giving great advice to our people once again.
Stop it.
Go
Hey,
and
one
have
drink.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe have. Oh, by the way,
one drink at
I'm
10
supposed
bars.
to. The zombie ride's in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks to the day. In Key West, a zombie ride down in Key West for Fantasy Fest, and I got to make some calls. I think to somebody.
Oh, is it that time of year again?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
where
shit.
fat, naked people get body paint on their bodies so they can show their private parts. And there's some attractive ones, and they're hiding their body parts. So it's a crime, and a crime in 2 directions are going on: the people that shouldn't be naked and the people that should be completely naked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey,
there was one a couple last year. I was looking at some photos, and I think someone had attached a realistic looking prosthetic penis, because this thing was
monstrous.
Yeah, and not flaccid. But it wasn't turgid or erect. Is turgid a real word?
He had a semi.
Yeah, semi. It was kind of, but it wasn't his.
What
it was
shame.
more of a strap-on. But the guys there, and there's all strange people in this shop. It looked like they just got body painted, and they're all sticking it in their mouths and stuff like that. And they go, besides the thing that, no, I'm not talking about the thing, but a rubber thing that someone else had in their mouth, you're putting in your mouth. It's like, hey, put this straw in your mouth. Here, use straw in your mouth. Put this straw in your mouth.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the thing. Hey, look I'm taking it from a different direction. Not to be rhymed with erection.
But Jim, in Key West, they call that trolling.
Oh, yeah, they do. Okay, called trolling?
Yeah.
Okay, put that mic next to her mouth when you talk.
All right.
I got it. So you call it trolling, Keith?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get to you there. You keep on commenting because I got something for you. Oh, it's not, I'm not putting you on the spot.
No,
it was
that's
what
all right.
we talked about already.
Yeah.
We're talking. Okay, the software engineers were there. So the 2 older ones are biking. One's doing support. Driving along. And one of the guys said a really interesting comment. He said he's telling people he works with what he's doing. And it sounds like a fantastic trip. We're going to Miami, flying into Miami, getting into Homestead, or going down to Homestead, taking their bikes, blah, blah, blah. And I think they're from Tampa area. And I don't think they rode their bikes all the way from Tampa, because that's a fucking long-ass ride. But that would be a week or so. But they, I'm sure they rode the van down here and got in here and started at the top. And he said when he told them about their amazing trip that they're going to do, he says every time he does one of these trips he gets people to say, you know what you should do? You know where you should go? And he goes, well, you know what? Why don't you plan your own trip and I'll decide if I want to go on it. He took it kind of personally because he wants the people, I can understand that when people say the amazing trip and say, that's your trip. You're going to do what you're going to do. Give me credit for knowing what I want to do. I know you want to give me some information you think you have on it, but you haven't done it. You know? Now, I imagine what he was saying is people that aren't travelers like this guy, they're giving him advice. And he goes, well, fucking you plan a trip. I'll decide if I want to go on it. And you can go on the trip that I'm doing.
Yeah, it's kind of rude, especially if someone's not been here before and they say, hey, you know what you should do?
You should go and fuck yourself. That's what you should do.
Yeah, that should be the response.
Go fuck yourself.
With a smile and walk and go your way. But that is kind of rude. As opposed to saying, hey, have you ever been to the Keys? Well, yes, I have. Hey, do you know any good places I could go?
Yeah.
That would be a little different.
You got to go to Square Group, or you got to go to No Name Pub or something like that. Or stop by Irish Kevin's. But, okay, so that was eventful. These 3 people happened. Just so you know, and Christine will know, this stuff happens now. 2 guys come in late at night just to eat, have a couple. One has a beer, one has a drink and a Bailey's, and we're sitting talking. I'm working, cleaning up, and they're sitting talking, and we got in conversation. I mentioned when I graduated, and the guy said, I graduated, and I graduated. We're all the same age. We're all 56 years old. And I just realized we have guys, just like yourself, you start comparing.
What'd you compare?
Where you are.
It just in life?
In life. And you're looking at him and stuff like this. I'm going, well, this guy is this, this shape. This guy has this much hair. This one has that. And I go like this. I say, well, get me the fuck out of this loop, Because one guy said, oh, look at that, I lost all my hair and all that stuff. I said, hey, man, it doesn't mean anything. You're in good shape and stuff like that. And the other guy probably he looked a little younger than me. And I always thought I was when it was 56, I thought I looked pretty good. And then I said, fuck it. I just saw that. It confronted it right face to face. Same 3 white guys are in a bar and same age. Similar backgrounds, it seems like. Similar education. We're talking the same things. We're not far flung. And you think, wow. It becomes that comparison. If it was an Asian dude who was younger and a girl and this and that, you would never try to make that comparison and stuff like that. But you just put 3 the same people, and I think it's automatically one of those things.
No, we're never going to get away from this genetic
competition.
No, it's a reflection of one's self-image. I mean, we're always comparing to validate ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm okay. I don't look that bad. Look at this guy, or maybe even, you know what? I should probably change this because that guy looks really good for being the same age. There's this constant mirroring going on, and it's not necessarily bad. It could become bad. It could become a fixation.
Yeah.
But it also it could be humbling, and as long as you take it, the better understanding you have of yourself and the fact that you're able to talk about it and you are cognizant of it.
Yeah.
It's a very grounding thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a sign of high narcissism or anything. It just means you're normal.
Yep.
That's all. And probably with a pretty healthy outlook on yourself and others.
Well, I in the end of the day, when I come in, I say I feel really good where I am, and I feel good with the people I associate with. And speaking of people I associate with,
yes,
Keith last week, and it was great. You started mentioning me, and you know what? I have to apologize because I didn't really pay attention because you started talking about. You mentioned where you lived, and I got the area you lived, but I didn't focus in on what you said. And you talked about your landlord being okay with it and all this stuff, and I go, well, why would I want to do a podcast from where you live? And he goes, like this. And he goes, what do they have? What would they gain from me doing a podcast? It's not like it's an apartment building or some apartments. Why would they gain from it? And then Keith goes, well, it is an escape room. And I go, oh, fuck. I should have focused in. It's a Kingdom Escape Rooms in Key Largo.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and Keith lives above there. And that's fucking exciting. And that's because I was half-assed. And that's why I need to apologize to you because I didn't really pay attention to you. See, you thought I was going to do something to embarrass you and stuff like that, didn't you?
No, not at all.
Oh, you knew that? Okay.
Well, that's got to be an interesting night. Living above
and I said to Kate, I said, if you have to invite a girl over, because that's what I used to call my apartment.
But what a great
the escape room. To come in there and go, hey, well, what we want to do, and supposedly did you talk to the owner?
Yes, he ain't gotten back to me.
Okay. Well, Keith seems to think, and I don't mind going out on a limb, but I think I'd like to do it. The way I'd like to do it is the people that go into the escape room have to be drinking. And
they probably are.
No, they have to be drinking before, because I want them at a certain level. Now, maybe I'll need to bring in maybe we'll all do it, except for you don't drink. So that'll be good.
Well,
you could be the person.
Sober guy.
Yeah, one sober guy. You could do the podcast.
He could do the show, yeah.
We could do the show, and then I think we'll have to do the powered mic. I'd like to figure out how to put the powered mic in. I think it would overpower the other.
So you're saying do the podcast from an escape room.
From the escape room.
While trying to escape from the escape room.
Remember, I did a podcast
while drunk.
I did
or at least tipsy.
Yeah.
That one. I'd probably laugh my ass off, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and you've been in there?
No.
Good. I haven't been there either.
No.
So good. Okay. So the next person, as long as we get another person in there. So we got Keith and I, and maybe Jenna or Tyler's very crafty. He's crafty.
Jenna would be funny.
Jenna would be funny too.
Yeah.
You think Tyler's not that crafty? You think he'd get the clues?
No. Well, first of all, I think Jenna.
And we're bring Damien in. Damien in. I'd have Damien and you as commentators. Okay, Damien, you as the commentators. We will, and then you have to call us over. We'd all come over and do it. And we'd have.
No, we could just give the play-by-play. Like, hey,
yeah, no, call us over and tell us.
Say, hey,
what's your reasoning?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What's your reasoning?
What are you
doing? Yeah. I think that's what we do.
So you can arrange this. You think maybe?
I gave him a card, so if he calls him, we could set that up.
Oh, that would be.
I told him about it, and like he said, he didn't pay attention. He thought I was going to take women to my room and not let them escape. But I explained to
well, we could do that too.
I
didn't know that. No, I didn't think that right away. Wait
you
a
thought
second.
about it.
No.
We could find
what I thought is, how do you invite someone to your apartment if you say you live above an escape room? I didn't say that you would trap a woman in. You know what, Keith? I never intimidated that. I wouldn't do that.
However,
I mean, it's one of those.
However,
Keith, there are some people. I told you about Danny Dang, right? The sushi guy.
Yeah, you did.
Danny.
What did he do?
I may have had mentioned it on the previous podcast, or you said it to you personally. There was a guy. Okay, it was in the Encore. No, it was in the Encore restaurant. He was Danny Dang, was the sushi guy. He was a Vietnamese American, and it was funny because he has a Vietnamese accent, but he also had a South Carolina accent.
Oh goodness!
Goes. Dang. And all of a sudden, he's like, we were right near the sushi bar, was right when you walked in the front door. And there was sushi bar and then my bar. I'd be standing there register and stuff like that. And this beautiful redhead walks in. He goes, dang, Jimmy, that girl's so hot. And I'm like, and she's like looking forward like, oh, I can't fucking believe this. And I'm standing there like this. I'm mortified. So I'm standing stark still. So she's got to be like getting an otherworldly experience walking by us. But he also would say shit like, Jim, it's going to be a hot summer. Hot. So when we talking and stuff like that, we talk every so often. And one time I talk about girlfriends. I said, you seem to have a lot. He goes, Jim, you seem to have a lot of girlfriends. I had a girlfriend. I got in trouble. And I go, what was your trouble? He goes, well, I went to jail because of her. I said, why'd you go to jail because of her? Well, she tried to break up with me, but I wouldn't let her out of my house. So they call that imprisonment.
Yeah, I think.
I said you said you had a deadbolt and you locked a woman in your apartment. He goes, yes. I said, Danny, you can't do that. I mean, Jesus Christ. Danny, I never even thought of doing that. So, but that guy was a fucking amazing. Where was my point? The escape room, the fucking escape room. And so that's what I thought about when you said the escape room. I said fucking Danny Dang. And he says, oh, I want to do something with you and stuff like that. I know you want to do with me. You want to take me over your apartment and lock me in your fucking apartment. So you have a friend.
It'd be awesome if you took your apartment, set it up as an escape room.
That's what a lot of guys' apartments are like.
That would be scary for, the prospective
the
first date person.
Yep.
Yeah, that might be a little intimidating, but not if you
when
told
you
them
see
up front,
a lot.
Hey, I have an
if you
escape
see
room.
if you see candy, flowers, and all this shit, make sure you have an escape path and make sure you have access to the key to the doors.
Or date a woman named Candy.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, listen. I think we've done 54 minutes. We could go on forever, but I think it's perfect timing to end it. Keith, I'm leaving you to put on that stuff. And also, you know what, Keith? I think you're the man to get us into Lover's Boutique, maybe.
I can do that.
You think you can?
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty awesome.
I would have a field day.
Well, no. Just say, let's be careful. If they do listen to the end of the show, we'll tell them what episode number it is. What we'll do is we will not be invasive in the people, which is funny. I'm not trying to say invasive. We're going to be up their ass.
I meant that.
No, but we'll set up a table. And we'll talk to them. And if the person there wants to talk to us, they can talk to them. We won't use any names. And the people that want to come up. Now, what I feel is that we'll be able to do probably 30, 40 minutes ourselves. But we're going to need, in order to make it worthwhile, a couple people to come up and talk to us. Because I want to do a little segment called What's in the Bag. And that's going to be great. And, I don't care if someone fucking steals it because I know how I'm going to handle it. You don't know how you're going to handle it. You got some people, I don't mean you. I'm talking about whoever's out there stealing this shit and trying to do it. I do it on my own. And you're not going to hear it by then. You're probably not going to pay attention. And by the time it's out, it's over, and you're just copying. Do your own shit. Right?
No, but that's awesome. First of all, there shouldn't be a stigma for having a sex store. I mean, people do what they do in their private lives, and
it's a lover's boutique.
A lover's boutique. Call it whatever you want. Call it a fuck shop. I don't care what you call it. People want toys and want to explore their own sexuality with their partners. You know what? More power to you. You want to dress up?
Keith, you're nodding a lot.
That's
yeah.
awesome. So it's up to you.
I'm just taking it in.
They have a lovely
you, Keith.
Fantasy Fest is around the corner, and this will be released and stuff like that. So I want to mention the Kess Restaurant in Key Largo. To come there, it's at 102 on the ocean side. Come and see me. I'm there many days. Come and see me on Mondays, Wednesday days, Monday all day, Wednesday days, Friday all day, some Saturday nights and Sunday night. And then sometimes like this week, I'm there every fucking day except for today. But the Lover's Boutique, they have a lovely selection of costumes.
Yes,
regular costumes.
Stuff you may want to wear at Fantasy.
Yeah. So, or just if you're not, obviously, if you're going to get body paint, you're going to be showing your vajayjay, penis, nipples, whatever stuff. Yeah. Well, that's what they do.
Well, as long as it's painted.
You know what? What if you paint it?
What
if you paint it? What if you paint something
yes.
and paint it? You paint it a different color underneath, right? Let's say blue.
Okay.
And then paint skin tone underneath.
And the what?
Skin tone underneath, above it, overneath.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I think I'm from another planet.
Okay, so your nipples say.
Yeah. So paint someone tell you paint the whole thing black. Let's say you paint your upper torso. You're a white person. You paint your upper torso and your balls, everything black, right?
Okay.
And then someone paints over it Caucasian
skin tone.
Skin tone.
What you meant.
Yeah. That's still covered.
Yeah, but covered with the caveat of obscuring.
Okay, well, yeah, man, he's like a fucking lawyer.
First of all, I worked it for 5 years. So men's jiggly parts have to be covered. You can't go out and, swing the dick.
Vaginas don't have to be.
Shaved and painted, and as long as they're obscured, that's fine.
If they have the kind of a loose...
There's not many people that can... that get away with it.
You know what I mean?
Most everyone we hand T-shirts to.
Like a sloppy roast beef sandwich?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
A couple of provolones.
Messy taco?
Yeah, no, that's that should never be seen.
Italian sub?
And there's some male parts.
Tuna.
Normally I'd be a very...
tuna hoagie?
I'd admire certain, but there are some that you look at and go, God was not kind to you. They should always be hidden. But we used to give out T-shirts, and if you lost a pasty,
crouching nipple, hidden penis.
What a name for a book, huh?
Yeah, instead of crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Okay.
So you just hand them T-shirts and say, cover that up.
And cover it.
But you got to remember, it's an adult driven.
I know. Every time a year, I see some foreigners come down. They have some kids and go, "Oh, we're going down." I want to talk about this next time, but every so often you'll run into someone. You're talking to them, and it's, "Oh, their English is impeccable," and you don't hear an accent.
We had to do a Fantasy Fest story episode once.
I wanted to do it down there, but I didn't get my.
We can still do it before the event.
I want to do it from down there.
You gonna be able to pull that off?
I don't know. That's what she said.
Bada bing boom.
Boom. You think you have enough time? No. You think you have enough time?
Yeah.
You're going to be able to pull that off? I don't know. Let's get away with the puns while we're at it. Okay, this is Jim the Keys bartender. I'd like to thank Papa Joe.
Hello.
And Keith the mechanic. The time from his busy day, lunch hour, to come here and drink his apple juice.
Yep.
Or from kindergarten, right?
Yep.
You get any cookies with that, man?
Oreos
cookie. Okay, that's good. Well, hey, I'd like to thank you for listening. Talk to you later. Bye.